Welcome to the Wild Simplicity podcast, the podcast for awakening women who are ready to shed the layers, let go of the clutter, and rediscover their wild and wonderful selves that lie beneath. I'm Anna Day, and together we'll explore how to simplify, release what's no longer serving us, and embrace the possibility of living fully in this one wild and precious life. Whether you're a dreamer, a seeker, or someone who craves doing things differently, this space is for you. Let's dive in and awaken the magic within. Hello and welcome back to the Wild Simplicity podcast. This is Anna. Here we are, end of 2025. This is my last podcast episode this year and I am delighted to be here with you all. I actually recorded episode 50. This is episode 50. I recorded episode 50, or what I thought was episode 50, earlier on today, an hour or so ago, 2 hours ago. And it was loading and processing in the background, and then I went to press play and there was no sound, completely mute. I have a new microphone. I think I might have pressed mute somehow, and I was initially irritated, annoyed. I didn't get as worked up. Usually I would get like worked up before, maybe last year I would have gotten really worked up and really annoyed. And I went into my husband and he was like, this is just what's happened. It's okay. And I had listened to something from Gabby Bernstein in between the time of recording that muted podcast and this one. And she was saying, I'm willing to let this be different, or I'm willing to see this differently. And can I be willing to see things differently and show me how this can be different? I don't often listen to Gabby Bernstein. I haven't listened to her in years. And I was drawn to her the other day and it was so interesting. So anyway, and I said to myself, can I see this differently? Show me how I can see this differently. And that is, I think, a big theme of this year for me, like seeing things differently, not allowing circumstance to dictate my mood and to make things mean something that they're not. So like I could have taken it to mean I could have gotten really, really irritated, annoyed, worked up and unable to sit down and record again. But I have this ability now to completely trust in life, to trust in what I'm being shown, to trust in what happens for me, that it's happening for me, it's not happening to me. Because before I would have gone into the other, I would have gone into it happening to me. And this is happening to me and it's so annoying and how irritating, how these things always happen to me, all that sort of narrative. And this time I didn't. And I'm realizing that that's become a pattern, that I'm seeing most things that happen to me as life happening for me. And because really, for me, that is such a liberating way to live life, that things are happening for me. And even really, really hard things, like, yeah, it's an interesting process to be going through, but it's definitely easier for the more mundane things, and such as like a podcast, a short enough podcast. It was, I think, like 15, 20 minutes I recorded, not working out. It's no big deal. It's not the end of the world. But as I said, I would have gone into a pattern before of getting really irritated, really annoyed and being like, well, that's just a sign that I should not really be recording this. And instead, here I am again, I'm recording. It seems to be working. And I was going to think, even there, I was like, well, I won't use the new mic. I got a mic for Christmas for my husband. And I was like, well, I won't use the mic, but I have just done a test there and it seems to be, the indicator is working to the right here. So it seems to be all working. But so the willingness to embrace life and to move and to be so grounded in ourselves and trust in ourselves that we can handle whatever life throws at us and allow it to be, and allow us to respond from a different place than we would usually, and seeing things differently, inviting ourselves to see things differently and to choose a different path than we would normally choose. So here we are, because I've said yes and I've trusted that was for some reason a sign about, I don't know, because this episode is episode 50, which is incredible for me to hear myself say that this is episode 50 of the Wild Simplicity podcast, because I started this podcast 3 years ago, not knowing, how many episodes I was going to do. I was just going to do a few anyway. And it has just been such a lifeline for me. And it is such a wonderful space for me to come to process what's going on for me internally, what's moving me with my voice in the world, with my work in the world, with where my purpose lies, with what I'm here to impart, information I'm here to impart, or energy I'm here to transmute and transfer. And it's been such an amazing ally for me to move through these times. And as I said, I started 3 years ago in 2022, in the December of 2022, just when I'd moved here to Portugal. And then I did a couple of episodes that December, and then I did a few episodes in 2023, maybe about 11, 12 episodes. And then I did 2024, I did about, I think I did less episodes actually in 2024. Last year I did about 8 maybe. And then this year I've done, I've nearly done weekly for the last few months. And before that I was doing bi-weekly, I think. So I've done about nearly 30 episodes this year. So it's become much more of a solid foundation for me this year. And I've really, really enjoyed it. I do mostly solo episodes. I have had a couple of guests on, which has been really fun as well. It is quite a different scenario when there's guests on, because there's more to hold. There's questions back and forth, listening to the person, making sure all the tech is working. And so that's an interesting edge for me. And I'll be doing more of that next year as well. But it is a really freeing space for me to be in. I never use a script. Scripts don't work for me. I can't have the constraint of a script. It doesn't allow me to come out and to come through. I think that's what helped with my trust, like that deepening trust in myself. And this element of trust really came strongly in 2022 before we moved to Portugal, and this decision to move to Portugal. And there was just a real steadfast trust that was deep within me that I could feel. And from then on, it's expanded into different areas of my life. But anyway, so this podcast has been such a holding for me. It's been such a holding for my work in the world, and it has been a lovely connector to all of you who listen. Thank you so much. And I know there's some of you who've been here since the very beginning, since episode 1, and have come through all the episodes with me. So thank you so much. And then there's some of you who've just arrived, and welcome to all of you. And I love receiving your feedback and my friends will often, tell me if they listen to a podcast episode and give me a little bit of feedback and what they found helpful or what resonated. And then I love receiving emails from people who I don't know personally or I haven't seen in years, and who explain how the podcast has helped them. So that's so nourishing for me to hear, and really also nourishing in my role in helping bolster other women to also share their voices. So share your voice in the world in whatever way that is for you, whatever that means for you. And I get really excited when other women tell me they're starting podcasts, because we need more women podcasters. So if you are inkling and thinking about starting one, please do, and let me know, because I'm here to cheer you on and to help you out in whatever way I can. But it's such an exciting time that we can have these platforms to speak and to share and to allow ourselves to be seen and heard, and actually to be seen. So I've only started recording video podcasts this year. Before that, it was all audio. So at the very beginning, it was on my iPhone, just recording voice notes, voice memos. And I would record the voice memo, and then I would transfer it to my computer and I would upload it. And that was it. And then I started using a software called Riverside, which I'm using at the moment. And that was helpful in I'm adding in the outro and the intro and the outro, which I started doing. And then, I just started doing video podcasts. I did a couple and then I stopped. And then now I've been doing them consistently since, I don't know when. I've done about maybe 15 videos at the moment. And they're on YouTube. And then Spotify obviously has the option of watching on video or just audio. So it's been on a complete, evolution and journey. And ever evolving, and who knows what next year will bring. But I'm very grateful to have dedicated myself and devoted myself to doing 50 episodes. And I had no intention of doing 50 episodes. It's just a number, really, but it's just so incredible to I hadn't seen how important it was until a mentor of mine said a few weeks ago. I'd mentioned about I was on my 7th or 6th episode at that stage, and she was saying, like, really let that land in. Like, it's a lot, coming up to 50 episodes as well. So it's taking the time. I think the importance of really landing in ourselves and acknowledging ourselves for where we've come, how we've grown, how we've evolved. And it's not about the numbers or about the stats, but it's about what we have committed to within ourselves, what we've devoted ourselves to. And so I am proud of myself for devoting myself to this podcast and to my voice and to my visibility. And because it's been, evolving over the years. And at the beginning, when I started my business, visibility was really, really, really difficult. Like, just posting a post on Instagram was really difficult, like a text post without even showing my face. And then I came on to, adding my face and going out of stories. So it's been a real growth and evolution for me, coming from, years and years ago as a child, being a very, very shy and quiet child, for being the one who didn't really speak up and who didn't say much, to now being comfortable in who I am, being comfortable in my voice, being comfortable in what I have to share. So yeah, it's been a wild ride and it's been amazing, and I am enjoying every moment, and will continue to do that next year as well. So this is really, like, this time of year is a really deep reflection time for me. I really love the darkness and the in-between days, from Christmas until into New Year, and Little Christmas, or Women's Christmas, Nag na Mná, on the 6th of January. And I really just love this inward time, and have come to see it as something very special and very something to be woven in with, particularly having children. There's a lot of energy and a lot of excitement, especially on Christmas Day and leading up to Christmas Day. And then on Christmas Day evening, I sat down by the fire, and I'm doing smoke nights this year, which is writing down 13 wishes on 13 pieces of paper, burning one each night from the 25th until the 5th. And then you're left with one wish or intention on the 6th, and you open it up and you read that that's your intention for you to take action on for the year. Whereas the other ones are taken care of by universe, source, God, whatever. So it's a really nice practice. It's a really nice intentional moment to go inwards. I've also been doing journaling. So this year I am incorporating the Omen days, or Raunacht, into my process as well of these days. And it's really nice to have that guidance and the journaling prompts, and looking at each day as the reflection of a month from next year. So the 25th being January, 26th February, etc. So that's been lovely as well. And just these additional ways of going inward and of being in this time of hibernation and slowing down and more stillness. We've had a very quiet Christmas. It's been very inward, quite slow, but also full of excitement. And obviously with the kids, there's, a lot going on, and energy as well. But it's been nice, and making sure I have time for myself to have those inward times as well. So yeah, that's been a really important part of taking myself from this Christmas period and then into the new year, and bridging that time of when there's a new year energy, at least according to the Gregorian calendar, which I don't necessarily follow so much anymore. I do like the incoming new energy of January 1st, but I don't, like, years ago I would have had January 1st as this looming day of pressure and having to make New Year's resolutions and all that sort of stuff, and I've let that go completely. And instead I still bask in the energy of the new year, moving into a new number, 2026, and a different energy gently coming in. But I also love using Imbolc and Bridget's Day as the another time and another marker for new beginnings as well, and the astrological new year as well in March. There's a few, I like that gentle pull into the new year, and it's not this. Before I learned about all these, Celtic calendar ways and astrology and Chinese New Year, all the various New Years, like all these points through the year from the different aspects of different countries and different cultures are all so beautiful, and they're all an opportunity for us to look inward and to see how we can. There's always an opportunity to start again, basically. Like there's always an opportunity to start again. The beginning of each day, in the middle of a day, there's never not an opportunity to say, right, let's start again. And it's that gives me such joy and such hope and such a sense of possibility. So really embracing that at the moment, and seeing what's coming next. I'm in a bit of a liminal period with my work in the world and my business, and for the last few months it's been the case that new things are coming through and not quite solidified yet or completely in, but I can feel the sizzlings of possibility. I can feel the hum there, but there's still the main focus is the darkness and the inward time and the slowing down and the wintering and the nurturing and nourishing myself. So that feels lovely, and allowing whatever wants to emerge in due course. So these times it's really important to stay close to ourselves and to nourish ourselves and to go inward. And I had a vision the other day, and one of these images, as often drops in for me, these images of concepts. If I'm thinking about concepts, so suddenly I'll have this representation of it in a visual. And when I was thinking about my soul, and I was thinking about my soul and these human bodies we have, and how we can sometimes be over-identified with our human bodies, but how we are essentially souls getting to experience life through these human bodies. And I was wanting to infuse this human body I have for this lifetime with more of my soul and more of that vitality and essence. And I was doing that through my breath and taking the breath down deeper into my body and, strengthening that central channel within myself. I was doing one of Sue Morter's meditations the other day as well, where she talks about this, and really infusing our bodies with this vital force of our breath, and seeing it from that perspective of the breath being our soul, and really bringing more and more of this into our body by a conscious breath, and by bringing it down deeply into our bellies and into our hips and into our pelvis, and right down into our legs and down into the earth. And I start my women's circles with that meditation. I always love to connect from, above and below, and have that, feel that support from the ether and from source, and then down below from the core of the earth, that molten lava, that all to the rocks and the dirt and the sand and all the different textures and materials, sourcing and resourcing our bodies. And so when I was doing this, and I was thinking of inviting the breath into all the crevices of my body and all the cells, and I thought of those ice cube making bags that people used to use them a lot in the 80s and 90s. I think I've seen them recently, but I don't know if people use them as much, obviously, for sustainability because they're plastic. But it used to be my job to fill them up, and I used to love filling them up because I'd love putting them under the tap and then watching the water trickle down and fill each bubble would like fill out with water. And there was something so satisfying about that. And they always, from a sensory perspective as well, they felt lovely when you just held them and when it was full, and then the heaviness of it and putting it into the freezer. But sometimes it might not be full to the top, and you'd put it sideways and there'd be all these air bubbles, and it would be a bit limp, and you'd put it in and then you wouldn't get full ice cubes. No big deal. But this is reminding me about this infusion of our soul into our body, and the breath, like getting it into like all those pockets and all those cells, so they come up nice and plump, and every area of our body can be nourished and infused with our soul, with the vitality of our breath. And it was just a lovely visual for me, and really, allowing more and more of my soul to be in my body, and to consciously work with that, and work with that energy, and work with the energy of what it is to be a human, and how it is to be here with all our senses, and with the additional senses of intuition and our perception, and grounding ourselves here in our bodies, and infusing our body with, and our nervous system with safety, which a lot of us, haven't felt, and wouldn't have felt in childhood a lot of the time for whatever reason, but allowing ourselves now to nourish ourselves and to feel safety, feel what safety feels like in our nervous system through the senses and through being here and now and present and with ourselves and tending to what's coming up, tending to the emotions, tending to whatever sensations and feelings are there. So yeah, just more of that is really coming through for me, and especially in this inward time, because it's the question of, can I spend more time with just me, with nothing else, with no intention, like no having to meditate, no requirement of me, just to be in stillness, to be in presence. And that is where the edge is, that is where the nectar is. And when we can go into that space of inward time, and even these 12 nights, because I'm doing like the journaling, and there's thinking about the energies of each day representing a month, that's also a doing in a way. So I make sure to, it's usually with the embers of the fire, and sitting with the embers of the fire and watching those little sparks as they still, they're still there, the red embers. And it's mesmerizing if we can allow ourselves to sit there. It doesn't have to be a fire, it can be a candle, or it can be, I went outside last night, it's raining now actually, but last night the sky was so clear, the crescent moon was so beautiful, and the stars were exquisite. And I just stood out there and watched some of these really bright stars. And part of me wanted to get my phone out and download the app, or open the app and see what each star was, or each planet was. And I just made sure I stood there instead and looked up and just watched. I was hoping to see a shooting star, I did not, but that was okay. And watching the little clusters of stars, and wondering actually if that cluster I saw straight above my head was the Milky Way. Still don't know. I'm sure it was. But just really taking it in, and taking in the vastness of this world and this earth, and the ability we have to use our senses to experience this vastness and this expansiveness and this oneness. And then back to our body, like I found I was looking up to the sky, into the stars, and seeing the expanse, but then I was also grounding my energy down into the earth. And that ability to oscillate between those two things, the expanse and then the concentration of energy in our bodies, is, it's fun. It's just a real fun thing to do. And it's slow, and it's not like being on social media where things are fast and there's lots of things going on. So it is a pace that is very different to what we're conditioned to seek nowadays. And I think it's a real act of rebellion and resolve to ourselves to go slower and be in stillness and be in presence. So that is where I am constantly being reminded at the moment to go. And the two mantras that have been with me are the simplicity, simplicity, simplicity. That is one of them for me. And it was particularly in the run up to Christmas, that was a huge one. Where can I simplify here? How can I make things more simple? And then the other one, slow, simple, less. So slowing down. Where can I make things slower? Where can I slow down my day? Where can I slow down my thoughts when I wake up in the morning? How can I slow down my pace as I'm walking to the car? How can I slow down my interactions with people? How can I slow down my interaction with the person in the shop and take another couple of minutes just to chat, to make eye contact, to whatever it is. And then simple, like, where can I create more simplicity? Where can I let go of things that I don't need to be doing, which is where the less comes in. Less, doing less, having less, creating an environment of less, where there's less things for us to worry about, to concern ourselves with, and really asking ourselves, because otherwise if we don't ask these questions or give us these mantras and markers of slow, simple, less, or whatever it is for you, we get caught up in life and get caught up and out of our bodies and out of that presence But when we can have these mantras or words or reminders for ourselves, it is a lovely way to come back inwards and to the incredible gift we have of this life, to live it more fully each day, live it more fully in as many moments of the day as we can, and to be with ourselves, to be with others, and to enjoy it. Like, we get to enjoy life if we can allow ourselves to do that and decondition ourselves from all the things we have been taught to do, and to release limiting beliefs and stories and worlds we've created for ourselves out of necessity at one stage, and out of, their adaptive behaviors, and they were there for a reason, but questioning those now and wondering which ones we can go along with, and which ones are necessary, and which ones are needed and are supportive to us, and which ones are not. And so this time can be really a time for observing all of that, and it can be a time for just being as well. It's not about self-improvement and about becoming better. It's about how can we welcome ourselves fully as we are in this moment. How can we fully accept ourselves and allow ourselves to be exactly as we are, in the mess, in the whatever is present. Like, if it's really shitty at the moment, how can we accept that and really welcome that and allow it to be as it is, and know that the more we stop fighting against what is and actually be with it and sit beside it, sit next to it and be in it, that often this can allow us to alchemize it, to be with it, to dissolve it, and to allow what wants to emerge next to emerge. So see what wants to be dissolved for you over the next few days and into the new year. And thank you for being here again. Thank you for accompanying me each week. And I'd love to hear from you, if whatever episode has resonated most with you so far. I'd love to hear. And I will be back again here in 2026. I don't know when in January I'll come back, but I will be back, and with more evolving, more possibility, more simplicity, and I look forward to it. I look forward to seeing you then and connecting again. Thanks for being here, and have a lovely new year. Thank you for joining me on this journey to wild simplicity. If today's episode inspired you to let go, simplify, and reconnect with your truest self, I would love for you to share it and help spread the word. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode, and follow along on Instagram at Wild Simplicity for more inspiration. Remember, life is precious, and you have the power to live it fully, freely, and fiercely. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep seeking, and keep embracing the wild possibilities of life.